After rummaging forums for months, there was this one thread that kept popping up. Is 100 million an hour unreasonable? This post was created after yet another gold rush was shut down. I mean, competently balanced. And really, can you blame anyone for asking this? Now, developers or their marketing/strategy and demonic afterbirth team at Frontier decided to launch your typical double XP weekend, or in this case for Elite it will be increased payouts for commodities and somewhat reduced engineering grind. Make no mistake, this is tried and true method of bringing back players to most games, though most of the games using this tactic are free-to-play ones. Usually premium games, games that you have to pay for first, offer free weekends instead, allowing anyone to play it, but you know what, whatever, that's not today's topic exactly, so it's just something to think about. Does this signal that Elite is hemorrhaging players like sliced open penis and Viagra? Well, no, not really, not according to Steam charts. So maybe this is developers actually being generous and re-evaluating the current in-game economical state. Whatever is and was the reason, today's topic is simple. Is making 100 million an hour unreasonable earning rate? And once you ask that question, from the idiot corner you hear the excuse, but with that, a player needs only 2 hours and he can get Anaconda. With that, that's it. Game is done. It's skipping content. Content skip. And so that penis face just keeps screeching on and on. Sure, with Sidewinder making that amount would be a bit much, and I would love to see more dependable progression system instead, but even so, making that amount should be a thing when you get to Asp Explorer, at least in my eyes. See, Elite as a game is very segregated and void of connecting pieces between the gameplay elements, by which I mean the sandbox is huge and the dog turds you dig up as treasure are very far apart. Those who think that 100 million an hour is too much often overlook a lot of things and just go for the extremes. Yes, you could buy the most expensive ship in the game with such rewards in just couple of hours, and yes, you would most likely skip most of the ships, especially those behind the fucking Navy rank grind wall, otherwise known as the most lazy artificial way of increasing playtime ever. But is that a bad thing? Is picking up a huge ass pimp mobile a bad thing right off the gate? Well, if the ship was controlled differently, if it had more skill required to use, well then yes, that would be probably an undesirable outcome. But they're not. It's easier to go bankrupt with one of these big ships, but if missions are actually rewarding, then that should not be a problem. The blessing and the curse in a way for Elite is that every ship is standardized. The differences really come in the amount of drift and rotational speeds, and maybe collision boxes, but that's about it. Issue with the credits really comes down to in-game economy being governed by some chimps throwing poo at the board, and then using that as the finished end product. Get it? Anyways, developer constant meddling with the mission rewards that are too large by their standards, as if they had them, often just ends up really being the result of coder and designer leftover crusted vomit clogging up the machine. Usually these gold rushes are so swiftly removed, either because it happens to be a technical issue, or it's a half-baked algorithm that they gave to RNGs, and now the little bastard spawns in missions that are too good. Still, here's a very important thing to remember whenever talking about money earning in this game. Most of the player base are not my age. In fact, most of the players are older folks, guys and gals in their 40s and 50s and so on. But even those of us younger than that, we all have real lives to deal with, and we don't have like 5 hours a day to grind the game like a coffee addict grinds his beans. Most people pop in for an hour, 2, or maybe even 3. And while it's true that Elite is not a pick up and play game, in those 2 hours we just want to do something interesting, not stroke and slide that pole for money. So by creating the gameplay that demands so much credits and attention on that particular part of the game, and not allowing people to pick up that money quickly, you are literally killing them. Well, okay, not really, I'm kidding. Or am I? Still, the fact is that on a normal day, just playing the game the way you like it and enjoying it, people actually make no money. Most of the time is spent in-game, exploring, going to a planet, looking at a new thing or checking out a new thing and trying new stuff out, and not making money. So my last question in light of that magnificent revelation is, Wouldn't it make sense to give players a chance to earn a lot of money quickly so they can resume doing what they like as soon as possible? Oh, and while you contemplate this conundrum on the toilet bowl, here's a little comment I pulled after one of the money-making videos was posted. Mind you, this was not under one of my videos, which was weird. But anyways, here's what, let's call this person Genius Bob had to say. Everyone, please, please, please download this to Oblivion in hopes to make it take longer for FDev and fuckhead forum dads like to notice. Stop posting these, you're ruining every moneymaker. Lead mission designer clearly stated on the radio that he looks on forums and Reddits for what to nerf. Stop posting these and keep them to private messages. You people never learn. This is why we can't have nice things. This cockeyed clickbait commander does it every time. Makes a video with a clickbait title to get views, not caring that exposing this will ruin it for everyone. People have been using the system for a year or more before 3.0, and while this idiot's previous videos ruined Volleyboom, Medb, and Smitten, now our home is next target for the nerfs. Now, those that don't have the superior retardation will recognize the immense levels of stupidity here. But for the sake of entertainment, here's what the great and powerful TheYamiks has to say about this. Do you really think that people making these money-making videos are the real issue here? Don't you think that the massive interest on the topic of money-making does not signify a problem with the in-game economy and so-called progression? So please, if you ever had similar thoughts, sit down and think about your stupidity. Other than that, do let me know what you think down below. Is making 100 million an hour really that bad?